I stood outside the grand cathedral, staring at the massive wooden doors that would open in just a few minutes. Mason adjusted my tie and grinned. "You look nervous." "I am." "You've waited 2 years for this." "I know." He laughed. "Then stop looking like someone walking into a courtroom." "I'm marrying the woman I love." "Exactly." I smiled. For the first time in my life, everything feels right. Mason patted my shoulder. "You deserve this, Ethan." "I hope Isabella feels the same." Before he could answer, Olivia, our wedding planner, hurried toward us. "Ethan, everything is ready. The guests, all seated. The flowers, perfect. The music, the quartet is waiting." I exhaled. I still can't believe this day is finally here. Olivia smiled warmly. "You planned every little detail yourself. I wanted today to be unforgettable." "It will be." She checked her tablet. "The ceremony starts in 10 minutes. I'll be there." She nodded and walked away. Mason leaned closer. "Last chance to run." "Not happening." "You really love her." "More than anything. I just hope she knows how lucky she is." "I've never doubted that." A few minutes later, I stepped inside the cathedral. Sunlight poured through the stained glass windows, covering the marble floor with brilliant colors. Every seat was filled. Friends, family, business partners. People smiled as I walked toward the altar. My heart beat faster with every step. I looked toward the entrance where Isabella would appear. "This is it," I whispered. The music began softly. I smiled without realizing it. Then I saw Isabella standing near the entrance in her beautiful white wedding dress. She looked breathtaking. Our eyes met. For one perfect moment, the rest of the world disappeared. Then her phone vibrated. She frowned. "I'm sorry," she whispered to someone beside her before answering. I watched her expression change. The happiness disappeared from her face. Fear replaced it. She looked directly at me. Something was terribly wrong. I hurried toward her. "Isabella, what happened?" She lowered her phone slowly. "I have to leave." I blinked. "What?" "Daniel just called." My stomach tightened. "Daniel?" She nodded. "He's been in a terrible accident outside the city." I stared at her. "What does that have to do with our wedding?" "He's alone." "So are we." "He needs me." I reached for her hand. "We're getting married in a few minutes." "I know." "Then let's get married first." She gently pulled her hand away. "I can't." I shook my head. "You can't? A human life matters more than one ceremony." I felt every word hit me like a stone. "Our ceremony?" "I'm sorry." "Tell him to call an ambulance." "He already did." "Then doctors are helping him." "He asked for me, and I'm asking you to stay." She looked down for a long moment. "Ethan, please understand." "I'm trying." "No. You're asking me to choose." "I thought you'd already chosen." Tears filled my eyes. "You said forever." "I still mean it." "Then prove it." She swallowed hard. "I'll come back." "When?" "As soon as I know he's safe." "The guests are waiting." "I know." "Our families are waiting." "I know." "I'm waiting." She closed her eyes. "I don't have another choice." "You always have a choice." At that moment, Mason walked toward us. "What's going on?" I answered quietly. "Daniel called." His face darkened immediately. "Her ex?" I nodded. Mason looked directly at Isabella. "You're seriously thinking about leaving your own wedding?" "He could die." "And what about my brother?" She didn't answer. Mason laughed bitterly. "I can't believe this." I tried to calm him. "Mason, no." He pointed toward the packed cathedral. "Every person inside is here because of you two." "I know." "And you're walking away?" She whispered softly. "I have to." Without another word, she lifted the front of her wedding dress and hurried toward the cathedral entrance. I instinctively reached after her. "Isabella, please don't do this." She paused for only a second. Then she kept walking away. I stood frozen as the cathedral doors closed behind her. For several seconds, nobody moved. The music stopped. Every conversation disappeared. Hundreds of eyes turned toward me. Mason stepped beside me. "I'm sorry, Ethan." I swallowed hard. "Maybe she'll come back." He looked at me with quiet sadness. "You still believe that?" "I have to." Guests began whispering across the cathedral. I heard pieces of their conversations. Did the bride leave? What's happening? Is the wedding canceled? Every question felt like another knife. Olivia slowly walked toward me. Ethan. I forced a weak smile. I'm fine. She gently shook her head. You don't have to pretend. I just need a minute. She lowered her voice. What would you like me to tell the guests? I stared at the empty entrance. I don't know. Mason answered before I could. Tell them the truth. I looked at him. The truth? She left. I don't want everyone judging her. They're already judging her. She had a reason. He sighed. You keep protecting someone who isn't protecting you. I couldn't answer. Deep inside, I wanted him to be wrong. Olivia quietly placed a comforting hand on my arm. No matter what happens next, you're not facing this alone. Thank you. She nodded and walked back toward the guests. One by one, families began leaving the cathedral. Some quietly offered sympathy. Others avoided looking at me altogether. Within minutes, the beautiful room that had been filled with laughter became almost silent. Only Mason and I remained near the altar. He looked at me. Come home. I slowly shook my head. Not yet. Why? I need a few minutes. He understood without another word. I'll wait outside. As he walked away, I faced the empty aisle where Isabella was supposed to walk toward me. The flowers were still perfect. The candles still burned. My wedding ring rested in my trembling hand. Everything we had planned was still there. Everything except the woman I had promised to love forever. Standing alone before the empty altar, I finally realized that sometimes the hardest goodbye is the one nobody says aloud. 3 days passed after the wedding that never happened. My phone rang almost every hour. Every time, Isabella's name appeared on the screen. I answered only once. Ethan, please talk to me. I'm listening. I'm so sorry. So am I. You have to believe me. I want to. Daniel really needed help. Is he alive? Yes. So the emergency is over. It wasn't that simple. I closed my eyes. Nothing about that day was simple. She took a slow breath. I know I hurt you. You left me standing at the altar. I thought you'd understand. I tried. I never stopped loving you. My voice became quieter. Love isn't just words. Ethan, I watched you walk away. I came back the next morning. The wedding was already gone. We can plan another one. Those words hurt more than I expected. You think another wedding fixes this? I'll do anything. Can you give me back that afternoon? Silence answered me. I didn't think so. She whispered, please don't give up on us. I ended the call without another word. The apartment felt painfully quiet again. That evening, Mason knocked on my door. You haven't eaten. I'm not hungry. You haven't slept either. I keep thinking she'll explain everything. He placed 2 cups of coffee on the table. Ethan. What? I need you to stop making excuses for her. I'm not. You are. I looked away. I loved her. I know. I still do. He sighed. That's exactly why I'm worried. I rubbed my forehead. Maybe I'm missing something. No. You sound certain. I am. What makes you so sure? He reached into his jacket and placed a small flash drive on the table. I've been trying to decide whether to show you this. I frowned. What is it? The truth. I stared at the flash drive without touching it. My heart suddenly felt much heavier. I picked up the flash drive with trembling fingers. Mason, where did this come from? A friend worked security at the Grand Harbor Hotel. I frowned. The hotel? He nodded. Daniel checked into the morning of your wedding. My heart skipped. I thought he was taken to a hospital. So did you. He placed his laptop in front of me. I wish I were wrong. He inserted the flash drive. The screen flickered. A security camera appeared. The date matched my wedding day. I leaned closer. Fast forward. Mason silently obeyed. A black car stopped outside the hotel entrance. The rear door opened. Daniel stepped out. He wasn't limping. He wasn't bleeding. He looked perfectly healthy. My breathing slowed. No. A second car arrived. The passenger door opened. Isabella climbed out. She was still wearing the white wedding dress she had left me in. I stared without blinking. She hurried toward Daniel. He smiled. Then he wrapped both arms around her. She hugged him back. Neither of them looked frightened. Neither of them looked desperate. They looked happy. My hands began shaking. This can't be real. Mason said quietly, keep watching. Daniel laughed about something. Isabella laughed with him. He gently brushed a strand of hair away from her face. She didn't pull back. A hotel employee carried their luggage inside. They're checking in? Mason nodded. They stayed there all weekend. I felt as though the room had become too small. No hospital, no ambulance, no emergency. I watched them walk through the revolving doors together. Daniel held the door open. Isabella smiled at him exactly the way she used to smile at me. The screen froze. I couldn't speak. Every excuse I had repeated inside my head shattered in a single moment. The accident had never existed. The phone call had been nothing but a lie. I slowly leaned back in my chair. Tears blurred my vision. I defended her. I know. I told everyone to trust her. I know. I was the only fool left. Mason rested a hand on my shoulder. You weren't a fool. What was I? You were a man who loved with his whole heart. I sat in silence long after the video ended. The apartment felt colder than before. For the first time since the wedding, I stopped waiting for another explanation. My phone rang again. Isabella. I answered. Ethan, I've been trying to reach you. I know. Please meet me. I don't think that's a good idea. You still don't believe me? I closed my eyes. I've seen enough. What do you mean? I know there wasn't any hospital. Silence. I know Daniel wasn't hurt. Another long silence followed. Finally, she whispered. Who told you? It doesn't matter. Ethan, let me explain. I've spent days explaining your choices for you. You don't understand. Then help me understand. She struggled to answer. It wasn't supposed to happen like this. I smiled sadly. You're right. It was only one mistake. No. What? It was a decision. She started crying. I never wanted to lose you. You lost me the moment you chose someone else on our wedding day. She whispered my name again. I quietly ended the call. A gentle knock came at my door. When I opened it, Olivia stood there holding 2 cups of coffee. I hope I'm not disturbing you. You aren't. She handed me 1 cup. I heard everything. I feel embarrassed. You shouldn't. I trusted the wrong person. That doesn't make you weak. What does it make me? Human. I looked down. I don't want revenge. Good. I just want the pain to stop. It will. When? When you stop chasing someone who already walked away. Before I could answer, my phone rang again. This time the screen showed another name. Dad. I answered immediately. Hi, Dad. His calm voice filled the room. Ethan, it's time to come home. I am home. I don't mean the apartment. What do you mean? Walker International needs a new leader. I remained silent. He continued gently. I've waited years for this conversation. I don't know if I'm ready. You are. I just lost everything. No. His voice became firmer. You only lost the future you imagined. What if I can't move forward? You don't have to run. What should I do? Come build a future no one can ever take away. For the first time since Isabella walked out of our wedding, I looked ahead instead of behind. I'll be there tomorrow. 3 weeks after my father called, I walked through the glass doors of Walker International Holdings for the first time as its future CEO. I stopped in the lobby. This place feels different. My father smiled. It always belonged to your family. I wanted to earn my place. You already have. We stepped into the private elevator. I looked at him. Are you sure about this? I've never been more certain. What if I disappoint everyone? You won't. How can you know? Because heartbreak changed you. The elevator doors opened. Dozens of executives were already waiting. My father spoke first. Everyone, I'd like you to meet Ethan Walker. Several people nodded politely. None of them knew I was his son. That secret had stayed hidden for years. A woman carrying a tablet walked toward us. Good morning, Mr. Walker. My father smiled. Ethan, this is Emma Collins. She offered her hand. It's nice to finally meet you. I shook it. Nice to meet you too. I'll be your executive assistant. I'll probably need a lot of help. She laughed softly. That's my job. My father checked his watch. I have another meeting. He looked at Emma. Take good care of him. I will. After he left, Emma turned toward me. Would you like the grand tour? Please. As we walked through the building, she explained every department with calm confidence. This floor handles international contracts. I nodded. And upstairs. Corporate strategy. What about the executive offices? They're on the top floor. She looked at me carefully. You seem calmer than most new CEOs. I'm trying not to panic. She smiled. You're doing a good job pretending. I laughed for the first time in weeks. Thank you. For what? For treating me like a person. She looked surprised. How else would I treat you? I didn't answer. It had been a long time since someone spoke to me without pity or hidden expectations. For the first time since my wedding collapsed, I felt something unfamiliar. Hope. A month passed faster than I expected. Every morning Emma handed me a carefully organized schedule. Your first meeting starts at 9. What comes after that? A budget review. And after lunch? The legal partnership presentation. I looked at the folder she placed on my desk. Who is presenting? She glanced at the first page. Brooks Consulting. The name immediately caught my attention. Daniel Brooks? She nodded. Yes. I remained quiet. Is something wrong? No. You don't look convinced. I'll handle it. She studied my face for a moment, but asked nothing else. An hour later, the boardroom slowly filled with executives. I greeted each of them politely before taking my seat at the head of the long table. The chairman's chair still felt unfamiliar. Benjamin entered last. He smiled at me. Ready. As ready as I'll ever be. He nodded. Good. The doors opened. Daniel walked in first, wearing an expensive navy suit and a confident smile. He didn't recognize me immediately. His attention stayed on the directors. Behind him walked Isabella. She carried a leather portfolio and wore the same confident expression I remembered from countless court appearances. She looked around the room casually. Then her eyes landed on me. She stopped walking. The color disappeared from her face. Ethan? The room became completely silent. Daniel turned toward her. You know the new executive? She didn't answer. She kept staring at me as if she had seen a ghost. I calmly met her eyes. Good morning. Her lips parted slightly. What? What are you doing here? Daniel laughed. Maybe he's consulting for the company. Before I could answer, Benjamin stood. I believe introductions are in order. Every executive looked toward him. Benjamin smiled proudly. Ladies and gentlemen, before today's presentation begins, I'd like everyone to officially welcome the future Chief Executive Officer of Walker International. He turned toward me. My son, Ethan Walker. The silence that followed was even louder than words. Isabella stared at me in complete disbelief. Daniel's confident smile disappeared instantly. I slowly stood from my chair. Good morning, everyone. Nobody spoke. Benjamin looked around the room. From today forward, every major business decision at Walker International will require Ethan's final approval. I took a steady breath. Thank you, Dad. He smiled proudly before sitting down. Daniel forced an awkward laugh. There must be some misunderstanding. There isn't, I replied. He cleared his throat. We're here to discuss a legal partnership. I know. He slid his proposal across the table. Our firm can increase your international growth. I opened the file without rushing. I'll review every detail. Daniel smiled again. I appreciate that. I looked directly at Isabella. She still couldn't take her eyes off me. Finally, she spoke. Ethan, why didn't you tell me? I answered calmly. You never asked. I didn't know. You never wanted to know. Her voice trembled. I thought. You thought I wasn't important. She lowered her eyes. I never meant that. I closed the proposal. This meeting isn't about our past. Daniel quickly interrupted. Exactly. Business should stay professional. I nodded. I agree. He relaxed slightly. I knew you'd understand. I didn't say I accepted your proposal. His smile disappeared again. What? I said I'll review it. Benjamin leaned back quietly, allowing me to lead. I continued. Walker International chooses partners based on integrity. Daniel forced another smile. Our reputation speaks for itself. We'll verify that. Emma entered the room carrying several additional reports. She placed them beside me. These are the background files you requested. Thank you. She smiled politely before leaving. Daniel looked confused. You investigated us already? I investigate every company asking for our trust. No one spoke. I stood once more. This meeting is over. The executives slowly gathered their papers. Isabella remained where she was. As everyone else walked out, she whispered my name. "Ethan, please." I paused at the doorway. "What is it?" I never imagined this. I looked at her one final time. Neither did I. Without waiting for another answer, I walked out of the boardroom. For the first time since she left me standing before the altar, I wasn't the man begging someone to stay. I was the man everyone else had to follow. 3 days after the board meeting, Daniel called my office. "Mr. Walker, I'd like another opportunity to discuss our proposal." I replied calmly, "My assistant will contact you if another meeting becomes necessary." "Ethan, this partnership could earn Walker International millions. I've heard your presentation." "Then why the delay? I prefer facts over promises." He forced a laugh. "I've built my reputation on results." "We'll verify those results." Before he could answer, I ended the call. A few minutes later, Emma entered my office carrying several folders. "You asked for background reports." I nodded. "Did compliance find anything unusual?" "Nothing conclusive." She placed the files on my desk. "But there are inconsistencies." "What kind?" "Different financial statements show different numbers." I opened the first report. "That's a serious problem. It could simply be poor bookkeeping. Or something worse." Emma hesitated. "Should I schedule another meeting with Daniel?" I slowly closed the folder. "No. What would you like me to do?" "I want a complete internal audit." She looked surprised. Quietly, very quietly. "You don't want him to know?" "Not until we know the truth." Emma smiled slightly. "I'll contact internal risk immediately. Only senior investigators." "I understand." She stood to leave before stopping at the door. "May I ask you something?" "Of course." "Is this business?" I looked out the office window toward the Boston skyline. "It has to be." "And personally?" I remained silent for a moment. "I won't make company decisions because someone broke my heart." She gave a small nod. "I'm glad to hear that." After she left, I signed the authorization papers. The investigation officially began. No accusations. No public confrontation. Just facts. For the first time in my life, I wasn't reacting with emotion. I was letting the truth speak for itself. Whatever the investigators discovered would determine Daniel's future. Not my anger. Not Isabella's regrets. Only the evidence. 5 days later, Emma knocked gently before entering my office. "The investigators are here." I looked up. "Send them in." 2 senior auditors stepped inside, carrying sealed folders. The lead investigator spoke first. "Mr. Walker, we've completed the preliminary review." "What did you find?" He opened the first folder. "Multiple forged contracts." I stayed quiet. He continued. "Several investment reports were altered before reaching clients." "What else?" "We discovered hidden corporate debts that were never disclosed." Emma looked shocked. "How much?" "Nearly $28 million. I slowly leaned back. "Is Daniel directly connected?" The investigator nodded. "Every major document carries his digital authorization." I looked at the evidence spread across my desk. "So the reports weren't mistakes." "No, they were intentional." He handed me another document. "We also found payments sent through shell companies." Emma frowned. "Money laundering?" "We can't confirm that yet. But it's possible?" "Yes." I closed the folder. "What happens now?" "We recommend reporting everything to federal investigators." I nodded. "Prepare the complete file." "We already have." After they left, silence filled my office. Emma finally spoke. "I didn't expect anything this serious." "Neither did I." She looked toward the folders. "Daniel fooled a lot of people. He fooled someone who trusted him most." Before Emma could answer, my phone vibrated. The screen showed Isabella's name. I declined the call. A second later, another message arrived. "Please meet me. I know everything now." I locked the phone without replying. Emma watched quietly. "You're not going?" "No." She sounds desperate. I was desperate once. Another message appeared. "Daniel lied to me from the beginning. Please let me explain." I placed the phone face down. Emma spoke carefully. "You don't owe anyone your peace." I nodded slowly. I spent months chasing answers. And now, I finally have them. Outside my office window, rain covered the city. Inside, The truth had already washed away every excuse that remained. The following morning, federal investigators arrived at Walker International. I welcomed them into the conference room. Everything you requested is ready. The lead investigator nodded. We appreciate your cooperation. I want this handled properly. It will be. I handed him every report. These documents contain the full audit. He reviewed the first pages. This is extensive. My company deserves honest partners. So does the public. After they left, I finally felt the burden becoming lighter. For weeks I had carried anger inside me. Now the truth belonged to the law, not to my emotions. Later that afternoon, Emma entered my office carrying 2 cups of coffee. I thought you might need this. I accepted the cup. Thank you. She smiled gently. You look different. In what way? Calmer. I finally stopped fighting yesterday. You mean with Daniel? I shook my head. With my past. She sat across from me. You can't heal while standing in the same painful memory. I know. You loved Isabella. I did. And part of you probably always will. I looked into my coffee. Maybe. But loving someone doesn't mean you should keep bleeding for them. Her words stayed with me. After a long silence, I smiled for the first time that day. I think I'm finally ready to move forward. She returned the smile. I was hoping you'd say that. Before leaving, she paused at the door. One more thing. What is it? The investigators just called. I looked up. They officially opened a fraud case against Daniel Brooks. I slowly exhaled. I never wanted revenge. I know. You wanted justice. I nodded. There's a difference. After Emma left, I stood beside the office window overlooking Boston. Months earlier, I had stood helpless before an empty wedding aisle. Now I stood inside the office I had earned through resilience instead of resentment. Daniel would face the consequences of his own choices. Isabella would live with hers. As for me, I finally understood that rebuilding my future was far more powerful than destroying someone else's. Several months passed before I saw Isabella again. Emma knocked softly on my office door. Ethan, someone is here to see you. Who is it? She hesitated. Isabella. I closed the report in front of me. Did you schedule an appointment? No. What did you tell her? I said you were busy. And she asked if she could wait. I looked toward the window. How long has she been here? Almost 2 hours. I took a slow breath. Send her in. Emma nodded quietly. A moment later, Isabella stepped into my office. She looked thinner than I remembered. The confidence she once carried had disappeared. In her trembling hands was a small velvet box. She stopped a few feet away. Thank you for seeing me. I remained standing. What do you need? She lowered her eyes. I came because I owe you the truth. You've had months. I know. Silence filled the room. Finally, she opened the velvet box. Inside rested the wedding ring I had bought almost 2 years earlier. I never wore it. My chest tightened despite everything. I can see that. She held it carefully. I kept it every day. Why? Because I couldn't forgive myself. I looked at the ring without touching it. So why are you here now? Her voice cracked. Because I've lost everything. What do you mean? Daniel left me. I said nothing. My law firm fired me. She swallowed hard. My partners stopped trusting me. Tears filled her eyes. My friends disappeared. She looked directly at me. I finally understand what I threw away. I folded my arms. Understanding the past doesn't change it. I know. I didn't come here expecting an easy answer. She gently placed the velvet box on my desk. I came because I needed you to hear me once. I looked at the ring resting between us. For a moment, every memory returned. I remember the day I bought it. She wiped away a tear. So do I. I spent 3 months saving for it. I never knew. I wanted it to be perfect. It was. I smiled sadly. Perfect things can still be broken. She lowered her head. I broke us. You made a choice. I thought I could fix everything afterward. You can't pause someone's heart and expect it to keep beating the same way. She covered her face. I've repeated that day in my mind 1,000 times. So have I. If I could go back. You can't. I know. She slowly pushed the velvet box toward me. It belongs to you. I opened it again and picked up the ring. The cool metal rested quietly in my palm. I imagined placing this on your finger. My voice almost failed me. I imagined growing old with you. Fresh tears rolled down her cheeks. I imagined that too. Then why wasn't I enough? She struggled to answer. I thought helping Daniel made me a good person. You left your future husband standing at the altar. I convinced myself you'd forgive me. I almost did. Her eyes widened. You did. Until I saw the hotel footage. She closed her eyes. I deserved that. You deserved the truth. She nodded slowly. I was selfish. You were. I kept believing I had time to repair everything. You ran out of time. She looked directly at me. I've changed. I believe you. Hope briefly appeared on her face. You do. I believe losing everything changed you. She took one step closer. Then, can we try again? I carefully closed the velvet box. The answer already lived inside my heart. It simply hurt too much to say aloud. I looked into Isabella's tear-filled eyes. I forgive you. She covered her mouth. You do? Yes. Hope returned to her face. She whispered, then does that mean we still have a chance? I slowly shook my head. No. The hope disappeared instantly. I don't understand. I forgave the pain. What about us? I can't rebuild what no longer exists. She stared at me. I still love you. I closed my eyes for a moment. A part of me will probably always care about you. Then why are you letting me go? Because love without trust becomes fear. She began crying again. I'll spend the rest of my life proving myself. You shouldn't have to. I'll wait as long as it takes. I already waited. She lowered her head. I know. I opened the velvet box one last time. The ring reflected the afternoon sunlight. Slowly, I took her trembling hand. She looked at me with silent hope. Instead of placing the ring on her finger, I gently laid it back into her palm. This belongs to your memories now. She closed her fingers around it. I never wanted this ending. Neither did I. What happens to us now? You keep living. And you? I'll do the same. She wiped away another tear. I wish I had chosen you. I wish you had too. Silence settled between us. Finally she whispered, I'm sorry. I know. She turned toward the door before stopping. I hope one day you find someone who never hurts you the way I did. I smiled gently. I hope one day you forgive yourself. She nodded without looking back. Then she quietly walked out of my office. The door closed behind her. I stood alone for several minutes before looking across the city skyline. Months earlier, I believed losing Isabella had destroyed my future. Now I understood something far more important. Some people enter my life to stay. Others enter only to teach me the value of choosing myself. I walked back to my desk, ready to welcome tomorrow instead of mourning yesterday. 1 year passed faster than I ever imagined. Walker International had become one of the fastest-growing companies in America. During our quarterly meeting, Benjamin smiled proudly across the boardroom. You've exceeded every expectation. I only built on the foundation you created. He shook his head. No, you gave this company a new future. The directors applauded. Benjamin stood. I have an announcement. The room became quiet. Today, I officially retire. Several executives looked surprised. He continued. I waited many years for the right leader. He looked directly at me. I finally found him. The applause grew even louder. After the meeting ended, Mason walked into my office carrying 2 cups of coffee. The old man finally escaped. I laughed. I think retirement suits him. Mason handed me a cup. You know what's funny? What? If Isabella hadn't walked away that day, I probably wouldn't be sitting here. He pointed around my office. Your worst day became your biggest opportunity. I never saw it that way. You do now. I smiled. I do. He looked at the framed scholarship announcement hanging on my wall. So it's official? I nodded. We're funding 100 scholarships every year. For business students? For young architects and entrepreneurs. He looked impressed. That's a lot of money. I know what it's like to dream without opportunities. You could have kept chasing bigger profits. I already have enough. He smiled proudly. I like this version of you better. So do I. After Mason left, Emma entered carrying several folders. These need your signature. I signed each document before looking up. How many scholarship applications arrived? She smiled. Over 12,000. I leaned back in disbelief. That's incredible. You changed more lives than you realize. I looked at the company logo outside my office window. A year earlier, I thought success meant proving someone wrong. Now I understood it meant helping strangers believe in themselves. That realization felt richer than any title I had ever earned. Later that evening, Emma knocked gently before entering my office. "Do you have a few minutes?" I smiled. "For you always." She laughed softly. "I wanted to review tomorrow's schedule." She handed me my tablet. "You have breakfast with scholarship recipients. I wouldn't miss it. Then a meeting with investors." "What comes after that?" She smiled. "Nothing." "Nothing?" "I canceled your evening." I looked at her curiously. "You canceled my calendar?" "You've worked every weekend for 6 months. I've been busy. You've also been avoiding rest." I couldn't argue. She folded her arms. "So tonight, you're leaving the office on time. Is that an order?" "It's a friendly suggestion." I stood and picked up my jacket. "I suppose I should listen to my assistant." "I think you should." An hour later, we walked along Boston Harbor as the evening breeze rolled across the water. I looked toward the horizon. "It's peaceful here." Emma nodded. "I come here whenever life feels too loud." I understand why. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Finally, I broke the silence. "Emma." "Yes." "I never thanked you." "For what?" "For staying." She looked confused. "I was only doing my job." "No. You stayed when I doubted every decision." She smiled gently. "You would have done the same. You believed in me before I believed in myself." She looked down at the harbor. "I saw the man you were becoming." "I didn't." "I know." I smiled. "You never asked me for anything." "I never needed to." "Why?" "Because real kindness doesn't keep score." Her answer stayed with me. I realized the happiest moments of my year had never been the awards, promotions, or headlines. They were quiet conversations with the woman walking beside me. Without realizing it, she had become the safest part of my life. For the first time in years, my heart wasn't remembering what I had lost. It was quietly recognizing what I had already found. I reached into my jacket pocket. "Emma." She turned toward me. "What is it?" "I've been thinking about this for a long time." Her eyes searched mine. "So have I." I carefully removed a small velvet box. She covered her mouth. "Ethan." I smiled nervously. "I've stood before an altar once." She gently took my hand. "I know. Back then, I asked someone to choose between me and another person. You shouldn't have been forced to compete. I'll never do that again." I opened the velvet box. Inside rested a simple diamond ring. "This isn't about fixing my past." She quietly wiped away a tear. "I know. It isn't because I'm lonely. I know. It's because somewhere along the way, you became my home." More tears filled her eyes. I never expected to hear those words. I took a slow breath. "Emma Collins." "Yes." "Will you build the rest of your life with me?" She laughed through happy tears. "Yes." "Really?" "Yes." She stepped closer. "1,000 times yes." I gently placed the ring on her finger. It fit perfectly. She looked at it before looking back at me. "I don't need a perfect future." "Neither do I. I only need an honest one." "You'll always have that." She wrapped her arms around me. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. We simply watched the sun slowly disappear beyond Boston Harbor. Another airplane crossed the evening sky. A year earlier, watching a plane had reminded me of the woman who left me behind. Now it reminded me that every painful ending can carry someone toward the life they were always meant to find. I squeezed Emma's hand. She squeezed mine back, without hesitation. At last, I understood the greatest victory was never becoming the man who bought the company Isabella once dreamed of joining. It was finding someone who never made me question whether I was worth staying for.